You believe that children are being abused by pedophiles. So why are you sitting down talking to me? Why aren't you sitting down with the police right now?
I've told the police. In fact, if anybody wants to go back to 1993 when I was interviewed by the Santa Barbara Police Department, I sat there and I gave them the names. They're on record. They have all of this information.
After years of being shut out by Hollywood, Mel Gibson just shocked everyone with a wild comeback. Leaked footage from the 90s showing him calling out the industry, and even Epstein has blown up online. Nobody ever thought Mel would end up looking like the one telling the truth, especially after all the major scandals tied to his name. But here we are. Turns out Mel might have had his issues, but being one of those monsters? No way. Word on the street says he refused to take part in those creepy ritual-style events that the elites were rumored to be doing. And that's the real reason Hollywood buried his career for years. He tried to warn everyone again and again, but no one listened. Even his movie Sound of Freedom, which many brushed off as just another drama, was actually his way of opening our eyes. And now that everything's coming out, it's starting to make perfect sense. What the movie showed was only the surface, because the real story behind it is said to be way darker than anyone imagined. And guess what? Epstein's name is blowing up everywhere again. Over 3 million files just dropped, filled with shocking videos and photos exposing powerful figures doing disturbing things to women. The DOJ's release has people digging deep, connecting dots, and realizing that maybe, just maybe, Mel had been trying to warn the world all along. The craziest part is, those leaked files aren't even the full story. There's still more evidence that the public hasn't seen. And word is, what's being kept hidden could flip the whole country upside down. Investigators say the released material was only a small piece of the puzzle, while the rest is locked away because it's just too explosive to go public. The stuff that did get out is already beyond disturbing. The files reportedly showed videos where young women were being chased around by Epstein and other powerful men, all in nothing but their undergarments. The scenes are so twisted that even describing them feels wrong. These weren't just random clips. These were evidence of what went down behind closed doors in the darkest corners of luxury mansions. And it doesn't stop there. Some of the photos found are said to be absolutely horrifying, so graphic that even officials refuse to release them publicly. Nobody knows exactly what those girls went through to end up in that condition, but let's be real. Whatever it wasn't good. The pain and fear written all over their faces tell the story loud and clear. And then came the email that shook everyone. In one leaked message, Dean reportedly told his inner circle, and I quote, "They are like shrimp. You throw away the top, keep the body." That single line was enough to make people sick to their stomachs. It confirmed what many had feared all along, that this wasn't just a rumor or some conspiracy talk, but something darker, something planned and covered up for years. Now, with these files out, the truth is finally clawing its way to the surface, and it's uglier than anyone imagined. So far, not a single major arrest has been made besides Epstein himself. And that's what's driving everyone crazy. People online are saying the same thing over and over. What if he's not even dead? The rumors about Epstein still being alive just won't die down. And honestly, when you look at how smoothly everything was swept under the rug, it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? Then there's Ghislaine Maxwell, his partner in crime, who's supposedly locked up.
And then you go away and you think, no, I was wrong. I mean, that's insane thinking. I'm paranoid. I imagined that stuff. That couldn't be the reason for why so-and-so was acting like, could it? And then you find out later on the track that you are exactly on track with a lot of this stuff. Not specifically on track, but that you could, that some of your worst nightmares.
But sources claim she's living way too comfortably. Word is, she's in some luxury-style prison setup, complete with private perks and even a pet. You can't make this up. It doesn't sound like punishment. It sounds like protection. People are asking, who's really being shielded here? And if that's not shocking enough, let's talk about the part that nobody can wrap their head around. Epstein's reported purchase of 330 gallons of sulfuric acid back in 2018. That's not just a weird shopping list item, that's terrifying. What on earth would someone like him need that much acid for? Especially when science tells us that sulfuric acid can literally dissolve anything, even down to the bones, leaving no trace behind. That's the kind of chemical you'd expect to see in a crime lab, not in the hands of a billionaire tied to some of the darkest scandals ever. So what was he doing with it? No one really knows, but let's be real. Given his history, there's no way it was for anything clean or legal. The more people dig into these details, the more the story feels like it's just getting started, and it's getting way more sinister by the day. Here's where it gets even more suspicious. Epstein reportedly bought that massive batch of sulfuric acid on the exact same day the FBI officially opened a criminal sex trafficking case against him. That's way too convenient to be a coincidence. People are saying it looks like he was trying to clean up evidence, literally. But while all of that chaos was unfolding, another name started popping up again and again: Mel Gibson. Yeah, the same guy Hollywood tried to make everyone hate. For years, the industry painted Mel as the villain, when maybe, just maybe, he was the one who knew too much. It's wild how the story flips once the truth starts peeking through. Think back to his 2004 hit, The Passion of the Christ. That movie was a cultural earthquake. It broke box office records and shook Hollywood to its core. But here's the crazy part: Mel had to fund it himself. Every big studio turned him down flat because no one wanted to touch a film about God. They said it was too controversial, but what they really meant was it didn't fit the narrative they wanted out there. And even after the movie became a worldwide phenomenon, they came for him hard. Almost instantly, he was buried under accusations of being anti-Semitic, with people saying he was spreading hate. It was like the moment he stepped out of line and did something on his own terms, the machine turned on him. The timing, the attacks, the way they twisted the story, it all feels too coordinated to be random. Maybe Mel wasn't the villain at all. Maybe he was the one they wanted silenced. Now things are getting even darker. A resurfaced video of Mel Gibson has exploded online, showing him spilling secrets about the twisted side of Hollywood that he witnessed when he was just 25 years old. In the clip,
I'm saying that there are people that were the people that did this to both me and Corey that are still working, they're still out there, and they're some of the richest, most powerful people in this business.
And they are.
And they do not want me saying what I'm saying right now.
Are you saying that they're...
Yes.
And that they're still in this business?
Mel looks genuinely shaken as he describes what he saw behind the scenes, the kind of stuff no outsider could ever imagine. He said he was stunned that everyone around him acted so casual, like it was normal, while he was the only one uncomfortable. That's when he realized something was seriously wrong in that world. The crazy part, Mel said all of this way back in 1998. He was literally trying to warn everyone decades ago. But instead of listening, the mainstream media jumped on him, calling him a raving lunatic and tearing his reputation apart. They mocked him, shut him out, and made sure no major studio would touch his name again. It's like they had to silence him before people started connecting the dots. What Mel was describing back then sounds exactly like what's being revealed now in those Epstein files. It's almost eerie how every word he said lines up with the scandals coming to light today. He was canceled before canceling even existed. They tried to erase him completely. The only reason he clawed his way back into relevance was through sheer willpower, when he poured his own money into creating The Passion of the Christ, a movie that Hollywood refused to fund just because it was about faith. And now, people are starting to see what Mel meant all along when he said Hollywood was like a modern-day Sodom and Gomorrah. But the story doesn't end there. Not even close. After Hollywood completely froze Mel Gibson out, the industry wasted no time replacing him with someone they thought they could control. That someone was Jim Caviezel, the actor who played Jesus in The Passion of the Christ. It's like they swapped out the rebel with a loyal puppet. But here's the twist. Whatever happened to Jim after stepping into that world must have opened his eyes fast, because insiders say he saw way too much behind those polished studio doors. Something clearly changed in both of them. Rumor has it after Jim realized how deep things ran in Hollywood, he and Mel teamed up to tell the truth the only way they knew how, through film. Together, they worked on Sound of Freedom, produced by Mel, directed by Alejandro Monteverde, and starring Jim Caviezel himself. The movie became a global phenomenon, pulling in over $250 million on just a $14.5 million budget. That kind of success shook the entire industry because it wasn't just entertainment, it was a statement. The story starts in Honduras, where a struggling father named Roberto Aguilar gets caught up in a heartbreaking trap. A woman named Giselle, once a beauty queen, pretends to be a modeling agent and convinces him to let his children, Miguel and Rocio, attend what seems like an innocent photo shoot. But it's all a setup. From that moment, the film dives into the dark, underground world that most people can't even imagine exists. Sound of Freedom wasn't just a movie, it was a wake-up call. Mel and Jim weren't making fiction, they were hinting at truths the industry has been terrified to face for years.
¡Comieron humanos! ¡Asquerosidad! ¡Comieron humanos! Yo no estaba enterada de nada. Que había, o sea, una sí, pero que habían comido humanos! ¡Humanos! ¡Fuera la carne!
In Sound of Freedom, the story takes a chilling turn when the children are kidnapped and sold into the dark world of human trafficking. Jim Caviezel's character, inspired by a real-life federal agent, goes after the criminals responsible for distributing that kind of content, arresting several of them and managing to rescue Miguel from the traffickers' grip. But the mission doesn't end there. When he discovers that Miguel's sister, Rocio, is still trapped somewhere in Colombia, his entire world flips upside down. Despite strict government rules that forbid him from taking action outside U.S. borders, he quits his job on the spot and vows to save her no matter what it takes. That's when he joins forces with some unlikely allies, like Vampiro, a former cartel accountant who turned against the system, and a few brave contacts in Colombia who risked their lives to help him. Together, they pull off a daring undercover sting in Cartagena, posing as wealthy buyers to infiltrate one of the most disturbing criminal rings ever exposed on film. The tension, the fear, the danger, it all feels way too real. Back when the movie was released, most people thought it was just a dramatic thriller meant to pull heartstrings. But now, looking back at it through the lens of everything that's come out about Epstein, the coincidences seem impossible to ignore. The plotline, fake modeling gigs, talent scouts, secret parties, and the exploitation of the vulnerable, it all mirrors the same patterns found in the Epstein files. It's almost like Mel and Jim were trying to show the world exactly what was happening behind closed doors, long before those files ever surfaced. And here's where things really start to get wild. After Sound of Freedom blew up worldwide, people began digging into how deep the connections actually went, and suddenly, everything started looking a little too familiar. Whispers began spreading that parts of the story weren't just fiction. They might have been drawn straight from real events that powerful people wanted buried forever. Online forums and insiders started pointing out eerie similarities between scenes in the film and real-life operations linked to Epstein's network. From the fake talent scouts to the luxury parties that were supposedly about business but turned into something much darker. It all lined up a little too perfectly. Fans began asking, was Mel trying to tell us what he already knew? And did Jim risk his career to help him expose it all? Soon after the film's success, strange things started happening behind the scenes. Reports surfaced that certain organizations tried to block Sound of Freedom from being shown in major theaters. Some screenings were mysteriously canceled and distribution issues popped up out of nowhere. People who supported the film claimed they were being shadow banned online, as if someone didn't want the message spreading too far. Meanwhile, interviews with Jim Caviezel went viral. He was openly talking about how Sound of Freedom was based on real cases, and that much of what people thought was movie exaggeration was actually toned down from the truth. He spoke with emotion, saying, "If you knew what really happens, you wouldn't sleep at night." That statement alone sent chills through everyone who heard it. By this point, it was clear. Mel Gibson and Jim Caviezel weren't just making a movie. They were pulling back the curtain on something Hollywood had spent years trying to hide. And that, right there, is the cold, uncomfortable truth behind the Epstein files. The more people dig, the darker it gets. And the scariest part is that this might only be the surface. After the files dropped, the internet lit up with outrage, shock, and disbelief. Everyone had something to say about it. One person wrote, "Reading the Epstein files, it sounds like the billionaires let their own kids get hurt by Epstein and others. Very sick." Another said, "Mel has been pushing these theories for years, and everyone called him crazy. But now it's all adding up." It's wild how fast public opinion can shift. For so long, Mel Gibson was labeled as the Hollywood outcast, the man who lost it. But now, people are starting to wonder, was he the only one telling the truth when no one else dared to? The same guy who was ridiculed and blackballed might actually have been trying to warn the world all along. And let's not forget, this is the same man who created The Passion of the Christ and helped bring Sound of Freedom to life. Both projects that were rejected or ignored by big studios, only to later shake the entire world. The question now is, will all this finally bring Mel Gibson back into the spotlight? Not as a scandal, but as the man who saw what others refused to see. So what do you think? Was Mel really exposing Epstein's world long before everyone else caught on? Or was it just coincidence? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because this conversation is far from over. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment to keep this story alive. And click right here to check out the next video that's going to leave you absolutely speechless.